Hi, we are Black Templar, and this is Project AYM. Just before starting off, we currently have the music set low for recording purposes. The sound effects will still be on for player feedback. This is our start menu. From here, you can either go into the game, adjust the audio, or just quit out. So let's start. From here, this is our level select screen. Currently, we actually for this week we were removing a lot of mechanics that just felt extra and detracted from the puzzles. So we took out those mechanics and those levels associated with those mechanics and are currently reworking them. So in our previous build, we had about 37, I believe, somewhere around 32 to 37, and we cut it down all the way to 24. From here from our level select screen, currently we can go to the main menu, the metrics, or the levels themselves. So let's start with level 1. So level 1 introduces the player to the movement mechanic. Uh, Basically, if the player hits WASD, they'll move in the appropriate direction: W forward, S down, D right, and A left. The player will not move until they have released the button, like so. And if they decide not to move in that direction, they can hold down the space bar and then release. When they do this, the movement automatically cancels. When the player puts in an input to a spot that they can move to, an arrow will display to show them which direction they're currently heading to. And let me just finish up this level real quick. And once they complete the level by reaching the goal point, or the exit point, a screen will pop up showing them their current level, the high score, and the current score they achieved. If the high score is 0, then the current score will automatically be placed to whatever. I mean, the high score will be placed to whatever the current point or this current score is. And after that, let's try to beat this in 4 steps. If they beat it at a lower score, it will replace the previous high score with the current one. And if the current high score is lower than the actual current score, then it will not be replaced and will remain the same. This is for replay value if the player ever wants to try and beat their previous score and try and figure out how to beat the puzzle in less steps. So let's go to the next level. Just real quick, you can either go to the next level, or you can restart the level, or you can go back to level select from that menu. Alright, so this level 2, introduces the key mechanic. Now, currently the exit point is red, which means the player cannot beat the level. If they move on to that point, nothing will happen. They have to unlock it. So in order to do that, you have to actually go grab the key. Once the key is grabbed, an audio will play, signifying that the key is currently picked up and the exit point is unlocked. And the exit point will change from red to green, which means that the player is capable of exiting. Now, real quick, let's level select instead of next level. Now, each time the player beats a level, the current level selection button in this scene will change from white to green to show that it's currently completed. So let's go level 3. Level 3 and 4 introduce the box mechanic. So level 3 focuses on pushing it. If the player moves to a point that the current box is on, or that the box is currently on, the player will push the box into that direction as long as there's a point behind the box, or behind if it's behind the box. If there is no point behind it, the player cannot move into that direction. Now let's go to the next level. This one introduces the pull mechanic of the box. So if I push it, it blocks off the exit point. However, if I hold X, then I can pull the box. The way this works is that if I'm next to the box and there's a point next to me that I can pull the box towards, so like this, the X button the X button will show up and notify the player that if they press it, they'll latch onto the box. Now, if I want to release this, I can just hit X again. I also cannot pull the box around corners, so if I move down and the box is currently to my right, it will remain in the same place. So let's get that out the way and get to the next level. Now this one introduces the box v enemy mechanic. Basically, if the box is going to be pushed to a spot that the enemy is going towards, the enemy will be stunned and the box will be removed from the scene permanently. The enemy will be stunned for about 4 steps, and while they're stunned, the player can actually move to that spot that the enemy is on without dying. And once the enemy is no longer stunned, they'll return to their previous state, their active state, and will be hazardous again. So let's go to the next level. Now this one introduces the enemy movement mechanic. Basically, the enemy will follow the player's movement. So if I hit right, they go right. If I hit left, they go left. If I go up, they go up. If I go down, they go down. Now, if I can go down, but they can't, they will remain in the same position. Same thing to say if, let's say they can go up, but I can't, they can move to that position. And if the enemy is on a exit point, the exit point will remain locked off, so that way the player can't beat the level and also die at the same time, like so. If the player is either on a spot where enemy is on or within sight of the enemy, let's do this. The enemy will catch them and they'll have to restart the level. So let's complete this level. Now this is introducing the spotlight mechanic. The spotlight mechanic functions similar to the enemy vision in a sense that if the player is caught within that light, they will restart the level. Now, unlike the enemy vision, the spotlights can turn on and off with each input the player makes, each movement input the player makes. So let's say I want to do that. And the spotlights have a similar function as the enemies in terms of if they're placed on top of an exit point. Even if the exit point starts off as unlocked, if the light's on it, then it will automatically switch to locked to prevent the player from moving on to the next level, even though they were caught. So let's finish this level and go on to the next. This is introducing the pressure plates mechanic. Basically, if both the player and enemy are on the same spot, the door right here will be removed. However, if only one of them is on, then the door will remain shut. So let's get them both on there and go to the next level. Now this is the start of the practicing. All the introductions are out the way, and the player can start playing the actual game. This first puzzle, it's just a practice edition of the enemy. This next one is a twist with the enemy and the key. The player has to grab the key and then get the enemies out the way, so that way they can get to the exit point safely. Now, this is the introduction of the box v enemy sight mechanic. Basically, the box can block off enemy sights, so that way the player can move on to points that were previously you were unable to move to. Now, this is a stationary enemy, meaning that the enemy itself, right here, even though he can't move, he can still locate you. And because he can't move, his sight radius, his sight radius is doubled, so it covers 2 points instead of just 1. And if I'm caught within it, I'm caught and I have to restart the level. So I need the box to block the enemy's sight I can get to this point and then exit the level safely. Practice of the enemy V-box mechanic. There we go. Next level. A twist of enemy, key, and spotlight mechanics. Next level. Now this is the teleporter. The teleporter is introduced with the enemies. We're currently working on a level for the teleporter separately just to quickly introduce it. At the moment though, this is the one we have. And basically if the player is on a teleporter platform and they press Z, they can move to the appropriate teleporter. Now if the enemies can also use the teleporter. So, like so, the enemies are switched out. Let me just complete this level. Next level. Twist of the enemy, the pressure plates and the teleporters. So next level. Now this is the introduction of the opposite enemy. Unlike the normal enemy right here, the opposite enemy will move in the opposite direction of your input. So if you hit W, it'll move as if you're pressing S. If you move down, it'll move up, left is right, and right is left. So let's just complete this. Next level. Now there's a twist of the opposite enemy, the key, the spotlight, and the normal enemy. So let me just, oops. Now this may seem a little awkward, but as long as the player and the enemy aren't on the same spot, or the player isn't on a spot that the enemy can see, they will not interact, or as long as the enemy's vision cone doesn't catch them. So even though they will change spots like so, it will not trigger the player-enemy death. Next level. A twist of the key mechanic, the stationary enemy, and the spotlight. Practice close to mastery of the enemy block, or enemy V block. So I use that to get rid of one block and simultaneously knock out an enemy so I can move forward. Next level. An introduction, well, it's the twist of so far all the mechanics introduced except for the teleporters and pressure plate. Once I have the key, I can move on to the exit point. A mixture of the normal enemies and the opposite enemy. First, I have to get the opposite enemy out of the way. Take a minute. And there we go. Next level. Mixture of box, key, spotlight, and enemy and stationary enemy. So there are 2 keys in this level, and the more keys you have, the more you have to collect. Basically, the door will not open if you only collect one of the keys necessary. So let me show you real quick. Although I have only one of the keys, the door is still locked, so I need to collect both. And since I collected both keys, the door is now unlocked. Now, on to the next level. A mixture of box, enemy, opposite enemy, and key. This is more of a mastery. Actually, if we put that block back. Then on to the next level. A combination of block, key, spotlight, opposite enemy, and normal enemy. So key is obtained. Seems to be a little glitch here where if the enemy moves sideways, he will face to the wall. So I'm going to have to put that into the build notes. See if I can recreate that. The box is right there. Do I need the box there? Right. Okay. Touch. Here, you know what? Let me. Move into this direction. Then that should be all the levels. Once you complete all the levels, you'll be introduced to this win screen where you can either go back to the main menu or quit out of the game. Let's go back to the main menu. Let's go to start and let's go to level 1. For our pause button, it'll give you this menu right here where you can either resume the game, go to options where you can adjust the music and sound effects, go to level select, so you can go back to your level select screen, or you can go to controls. That'll just show you the quick list of buttons. And if you hit reset, it will reload the scene. So that way you go back to your previous position, your start position, turning the steps down to 0. If you hit the M key, it'll go to your debug menu, where you can either resume the game or you can go to these different setups, so that way you can either reset the level, remove the AIs, become invincible, or move based off of your checkpoints. So a checkpoint is basically the spots that are currently located on there, and if you hit one of the buttons that moves you to that checkpoint, and yeah, this is our debug menu, and let me go back to the start menu, level select, main menu. This is Project AYM. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.